Fishing minigame.
Fishing minigame.
Again? Look at these riches. An embarrassment of fishing minigames. Oh. Anyway, I don't think I read that line. The chatter continued as we walked down the beaten path to Eustace's fishing spot. I chimed in occasionally, but in a purely perfunctory capacity. My thoughts were elsewhere. Like on this sick beat. Hold on, what is this? Take shape. I like it. I drifted toward the back of the group and my eyes retreated downward once again. My head was so heavy with worry I could scarcely keep it upright. I watched everyone's hips sway in front of me as we walked the path. Now was as good a time as ever to start pretending I cared about this sort of thing.
Pretending, huh?
Pretending.
Methinks thou dost protest too much, Hedwig.
There's a really funny angle here where Hedwig is the one telling us the story later on, right? She has a vested interest in making it seem like her slutting it up is absolutely not something like, I had no choice in the matter, right? That none of my feelings came into this. I was forced to. Oh, it reminds me. I was also thinking between episodes a little bit about what the shape of Catherine's death might have been, and I was thinking a little bit more about how things might have come together in such a way. And one idea that I've been bandying about in my head. Yeah, I guess my eye is part of my head, but whatever. One thing I have been bandying about. We know Catherine changed in some way that worried some of the sisters, particularly Eustace. But before that, we know she was flighty and also got, involved in a lot of people's lives. She was also very extreme and much more outgoing than it seems a lot of the other sisters are. We also know that the sisters are not adverse to making their own decisions without involving Angela or the superior. I've got this idea that perhaps Catherine II's death might have been something that was considered or voted upon by the sisters at large.
So everybody's guilty of killing Catherine.
Sort of? Because, they're like, the idea behind that would be like Charity gathered everyone again and they're like, hey, instead of finding Flora, it's like, oh, okay, we all need to do something about Catherine too. Maybe she's getting strange or dangerous enough in a way that threatens everyone else or something. That's admittedly the part where this kind of falls through. But if we take that step for granted right now, since I don't really have much else to bridge that, if we take that step for granted, then the rest of it does seem to follow through. Meaning, like, maybe some of the sisters thought it was a better thing to do for the greater good. Some didn't. It could explain... But they went
along with it if they didn't think it was a good thing to do?
Well, it could explain a reason why people... Well, whether or not they thought it was a good thing to do, they still had a voice in it, and in the end, it's easier to go along with the crowd than it is to... And it is to, be a sore thumb and stick out like something.
Easier to go along with murdering your friend?
Presumably, yeah. This does this does hinge on what went wrong with Catherine being a lot graver than maybe we know at the moment. But it could be the case that some of them were indeed okay with doing it, carried through with it, and while others didn't feel good about it, they don't want to oust their sisters for having voted in that decision or something like that. What this explains is kind of the shape of thing where not necessarily any one nun might be held responsible, but all might feel the need to keep quiet about it regardless. So even if even if someone like Margaret said no, that doesn't seem like a good solution. It might still be a reason for her to be quiet about it because she was still complicit in those discussions. That's just an idea, and it's something... I especially kind of like the way it makes the shape of Eustace's chatter make more sense in that she knows it's probably not James, but it has to be James, because it's not James, then that requires requires revealing the scope of everything the sisters are doing.
Did Eustace's chatter need explaining, other than her own explanation that it was dangerous?
I suppose not. I suppose that could have gone either way, but it did slot in nicely with what I was thinking about.
Fair.
Yeah, and again, that's just a shot in the dark, kind of an attempt to kind of form a general idea of what some kind of conspiracy like this might be like, that would result in people not being happy with it but still being quiet about it. But again, admittedly, it is a little weak at the moment, so that's why it's just
a game theory.
Heyo! All right.
Anyway, now that I've sniped at this idea left and right, please nobody in the comments spoil the classic mystery novel where basically this is what happened, because SK hasn't read that one yet.
What? Okay, please don't spoil that for me. Jesus. Wait, really?
Not quite, but there's
close enough.
There is a classic mystery novel where the solution is close enough to your theory there that I just spent this time poo-pooing.
Okay, fair enough. In my defense, I think the only classic mystery novel I've read at this point is Then There Were None.
Fair, and that is not the one.
Yeah, no, and that is not the one. To my knowledge. I read it very wrong. Now is as good a time as ever to pretend I started caring about this sort of thing. The shapes were quite pleasing, I supposed.
I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. This... Really, I'm being forced into it. The medieval equivalent of gay for pay, it's lesbian for intel on murder. The rhythmic movement, the brief flashes of the bodies beneath the robes. After a while, the shifting fabric itself became slightly hypnotic.
The ass highlight.
Was this how Catherine and the others looked at me? I felt ashamed for allowing myself to become so entranced. Pretending to be like these sinners was coming all too easily. What would I be, I wondered, if I stooped all the way down to their level of hedonism? Was there a word for what these women were? Homosexuality. I can't say it right. Homosexuality, which I had a passing familiarity with from Aquinas' writing, wasn't quite right. Sex required a penis, after all. There was no seed wasted between nuns. Perfect.
Thanks, Tom.
Wow, you solved it. Great job. But something nonetheless compelled them. There was something there to become addicted to, even if it couldn't be called sex. I found myself ill-equipped and uncomfortable. If only there were a more rigid set of categorizations I could sort the world into. Right? I get that feeling sometimes.
Yeah.
When you're like, no, my understandable categories, they fall apart when they meet the real world.
Why cannot everything in the world simply be neatly organized into tidy little boxes like my computer problems are?
Right? Raise your hand if that you. Finally, we reached the little trail that led to Eustace's fishing spot. The conversation was too loud and too constant for me to hear the sounds of the forest as clearly as I had the last time I had followed Eustace here. It made me strangely angry. At the very least, when it came time to straddle and climb over the fallen log that blocked the path, I could still feel it in my hands. The subtle grain, flaking bark. As I swung my leg across, I was reminded of my uniform's lack of discreet undergarments. I inhaled sharply as I slid across the tree trunk. Everything all right, Hedwig? Yes.
Give her some accolades. It wasn't that long ago that she was struggling with stairs. Is that true, Hedwig?
You try not going downstairs for 20 years and see how you feel. Yes. Adela laughed.
That is so adorable.
Oh my fucking god, I'm gonna die here. Adorable? I knew what she wanted. I've been trying lots of new things since then.
You certainly have.
New things? Is that work? Did I do it right? Please rate my subtlety on a scale of 1 to 10. I knew what she wanted. As I slid off the tree, Margaret held out her hands to catch mine. Ostensibly to help my balance, I am sure, but I knew what she wanted. We eventually emerged into the clearing where Eustace fished. She set to work setting up the rod, and the others set about finding places to sit. All except for Moira, who began wading into the water. You're gonna scare the fish, Moira.
I'm going to help you. I'm going to sort of herd them toward you.
That doesn't, You know what? Go ahead. She didn't want to fight, clearly. As I sat on the riverbank, I wondered if she was perhaps trying to put on a show for me. The fun, Eustace, here fishing with all of her friends. This could all be mine if I simply condemned an innocent man. A shame for this fun new Eustace, then, that I knew the real truth.
Look, there's one.
She staggered through the water and waved her arms at something in the water. See, if it gets too scared, I don't think it's going to care much about my bait.
I'll lead one right to you. You'll see.
Alright. I glanced around at the others. Darcy was sitting next to Eustace, looking content. Whatever fishing-related rift they had in the past was clearly fixed. Margaret and Catherine with a K were wandering around the riverbank. They saw me looking at them and waved enthusiastically for me to come over. Curious, I stood up and walked over to join them. We were outside of earshot, but I reasoned that chatting with my friends would fall under normal behavior, should Eustace feel the need to check on me.
You should join us in Catherine's dorm later. I insist, in fact.
What for?
Don't you like us? I told Catherine about your chronicling project. You know, filling in the gaps.
I went cold. Oh, I see.
I would be happy to help. It is only right, after all. We were good friends, and I should like to have her memory completely recorded.
That is actually most kind of you, of course. I glanced over my shoulder at Eustace. She was busy arguing with Moira about another fish, it seemed. I suppose the coast was clear enough. Eustace has been very, touchy about this. She has expressed a certain amount of, displeasure with my project.
Has she now? How odd.
Side-eye.
Not that odd, really. She always did have a strange relationship with Catherine. The dead Catherine. Look, we won't tell anybody else. I promise.
I hesitated for a moment. It would have to be late tonight.
All the better. No trouble. We've got the oblates arriving and supper and God knows what else.
Very well. Thank you.
Don't mention it. And we won't either. Yes, that's right.
I nodded at the pair of them, then retreated back to my sitting spot. Eustace was still bickering with Moira, who was now trying to pick up fish with her bare hands.
Oh, that one was so close. You have no idea.
I could have caught one by now, you know. Perhaps two.
Yes, but isn't this fun? Yes, this is fun.
Thank you, Darcy. Darcy's approval was probably the only thing holding Eustace together. Adela was standing on the bank watching Moira keenly. I realized that she had begun coaching Moira on technique, although I wasn't sure whether she was basing her teachings on anything.
That one there is slower than the rest. Where? Circling your left ankle.
Moira ducked down and snatched at the water, catching nothing.
A valiant effort. Wait, he came back.
Moira reached swiftly. By some miracle, she held her hand aloft to reveal.
I got one!
Holy crap! Her triumph was short-lived, however. Do you see that? The fish began to wrinkle and resist, and it slipped out of her grip with ease. Moira leaned forward to try and catch it out of the air, but ended up falling face first into the water. Everyone began to laugh uproariously. Adela in particular was doubled over with laughter, in danger of falling into the water herself. I looked over at Eustace, who was chuckling ruefully, presumably at Darcy's encouragement. Moira pulled herself to her feet, completely drenched. She looked embarrassed at first, but began to laugh along with the others as she stumbled back to shore.
I had him. You all saw. You look absurd, Moira.
And I think this is an important thing that Hedwig is missing about the relationship of all the sisters here. The relationship of all the sisters is not one where they look at each other as one thing, or they're incapable of, feeling more than one way about someone, right? Mm-hmm. She thinks everyone is out to get me for sex, therefore that is the totality of their interactions with me. Whereas everyone here is laughing at Moira, right? But that doesn't mean they're like any less her friend or anything like that, right? Like the people can feel more than one way about things and have more than one way of doing things. And Hedwig really likes it when things are neat and orderly and defined by one vector.
Yep. One vector with no room for catfish noodling, as it were.
Catfish noodling?
Yeah.
What's catfish noodling?
Catfishing with your bare hands. What Moira's doing.
I see. I've never heard it called that before. Moira giggled sheepishly and began to wring out her skirt on the riverbank. I don't think that's going to work, Moira. Margaret and Catherine with the K wandered back over to the group, both of them grinning.
You're going to smell of pond water until that's cleaned. Take it off.
A salacious whooping sound emerged from the other women. Moira held her hands up sheepishly.
You'd all like that, wouldn't you? Yes. We're worried about your health, dear. You'll catch cold. That's right.
Moira grinned and bent down to grab the hem of her skirt, then yanked it up violently to flick droplets of water toward Adela, Catherine, and Margaret. They all ducked, sputtered, and laughed in protest.
Nice try, you lot. I'll put it in the laundry when we're back at the Abbey. And then what? Do you have a spare? Afraid so. Alas, I do not. Why is that, I wonder?
Catherine did not respond to this jab. It had seemed good-natured, but I remembered how touchy she had been in the Superior's office the night her dalliance with James had been revealed to me. I assumed she wanted to keep it a secret from the Superior, but perhaps it was a secret to all.
Never mind that. There is quite a bit of laundry to do anyway. I suppose we should be getting back soon, then. We can't have Moira meeting the new Oblates looking like a wet dog.
You go on ahead. I'd still like to try to catch something.
I will stay as well. I'll stay.
I am enjoying the breeze, I must admit. I will catch up.
Right. Hedwig has to stay.
Yep, in order for her cover to...
Yeah.
Yeah, because remember the whole reason she's down here and the only reason she's allowing herself to look at women's bottoms is because this provides her plausible deniability for Angela stealing the notebook back.
Yep.
She has to stay in Eustace's field of view.
Yep. Fair enough. See you all later. We simply must put on a good display for the new sisters.
Margaret and Catherine with a K escorted a dripping Moira back toward the forest path. Quietude returned. Darcy rested her head on Eustace's shoulder, and Adela wandered back toward the three of us. She stretched and yawned in front of me, pulling her frock tight around her body. I knew what she wanted, and despite myself, I gave her just a bit of it. You look good in this light, Sister Adela.
Thank you, Hedwig.
Oh, these two would actually be pretty cute, I think. Adela would be very domineering and having to coach Hedwig through everything. No, you must use 2 fingers. And make sure you're clipping your nails down. She beamed at me and lingered in her stretched position for a moment. Eventually she sat down and after a moment put her head on my shoulder, the way Darcy's rested upon Eustace's. I wanted to resist, but did not. Okay, come on. Head cuddles are like so sweet though. You can't. Okay, so A, you're wearing a huge pair of studio headphones, and B, your microphone is over there, not over here. None of that was going to work. I knew what she wanted. What? Just the casual intimacy of being able to lay your head on a friend's shoulder? I've done that to friends I felt no possible attraction towards. That's not, you don't have to be weird about it. The rest of the excursion continued in silence. Eustace never caught anything. Perhaps Moira's antics were to blame, or perhaps it was just luck. Regardless, Eustace seemed to be sulking a bit when Darcy gently reminded her of her obligations back at the Abbey. She deconstructed the fishing rod and picked her bucket off the... Simply, this is just a rod that I have decided served the purpose of fishing. Deconstructed fishing rod. Picked her bucket up and picked up her bucket of bait, while the rest of us stood up and brushed our cloaks off. Adela gently tugged my sleeve as Darcy and Eustace walked ahead of us, urging me to stay behind a moment. I didn't partially want to dip out of my suspect's sight, but I had no choice. Pushing past Adela would have looked quite rude. Yes?
Sister Hedwig, you are very sweet.
Oh, so are you, Sister Adela?
I understand that I made you uncomfortable the other night. However, I see the way you look at me. I could even feel your eyes upon me as we walked here.
Ah! I've never felt my own eyes before. I wonder what they... Ow! That was a cruel joke, Adela. She leaned forward to whisper in my ear.
I would show you more if you would like to see.
All the hair on my body stood on end. She reached for my hands and held them gently. There had been a small part of me that had wanted to discredit Angela. To return to her this evening triumphant, with tales of our assertions had all been a misunderstanding. Perhaps even a lie on Angela's part. I don't know. Like, I think if Adela was just doing this for the bit, she would have probably given up after it failed once. But the fact that she's still here being like, oh, that's really nice of you. I don't know. I think she might genuinely find Hedwig sweet.
Yeah?
I don't think Hedwig's ready to consider that. And that none of my peers were interested in me in that manner. But here I was. Adela, a woman who I had to admit was very beautiful and commanding, but who I scarcely knew, was inches away from my ear, whispering sinful suggestions.
And I would show you what you had missed, locked away for all of those years, dear Sister Hedwig.
Make yourself available. I recalled Angela's words, but they did not sit well with me. I was sure that Adela was very beautiful under her frock, but all this felt wrong. I chose a cowardly middle path. Perhaps later. Adela, I am very flattered, but this is all a bit sudden.
I understand, Sister Hedwig.
She stroked my wrists, then let go of my arms. She looked slightly wistful. I panicked, realizing that I had not done my part to keep her on the hook. I gave her a little kiss, on the cheek, mind you, which seemed to brighten her spirits. Keep trying.
You are full of surprises, Sister Hedwig. I shall.
The fact that Adela's going to keep trying... Like, see, again, that's twice. If this was just for the bit, I don't think she'd keep bothering, but no. We nodded at each other, then turned to follow Eustace and Darcy back to the Abbey. We're going to have to come up with new voices soon.
Uh-oh.
We've got new oblates. Have you been preparing new voices in the voice factory?
No, no.
Trying to think of ones I have in store that I haven't used yet. Nah. It's me, the new oblate. Why are you all looking at me so funny? The abbey seemed to be in total chaos when we returned. We entered the cloister to see all of the sisters running to and fro, and also the superior looming above the courtyard, so tall. I know visual novels, it doesn't matter often, but it's still very funny with this one, seeing the superior there and be like, oh god, she's stories tall.
Either she's stories tall or we're laying flat on the ground.
Yeah. Ooh, hold on, new beat. Each day here, refit. The superior was standing on the grass, pointing at people and barking orders in a manner I had never seen before.
Moira, get changed this instant. I'm so sorry, Mother Superior, but I'm in the middle of doing laundry.
So her other outfit is simply a nightgown. Okay.
Borrow someone's robes, then. Charity, move those chairs back into the storage room.
We've had those there for years now.
And you can put them back later, but we want this place looking perfect for our new oblates.
What's wrong with chairs? Oh, look, people sit and enjoy the view we've cultivated. Oh, no. Charity grumbled something under her breath and waddled over to the table and chairs that she and Marta often used on the edge of the cloister. I rushed to help her, eager to look useful in front of the superior. Oh, thank you much, Hedwig. Not at all. Not at all. Are the new oblates here? They're coming up the hill. The superior saw them and went a bit barmy all of a sudden. Barmy? I've never heard that word, but do you have your phone in front of you?
Yeah.
What the heck?
It's a good word. She went a bit nuts.
I guess from context, sure, but like, does it mean something more specific or just?
I'm pretty sure that's just it.
All right.
Yeah, mad or crazy.
Okay. Well, I wanted to know for sure, and now I do. I suppose she wants to make a good first impression. We reached the chapel storage room. I opened the door and held it open for Charity. Didn't take long to find a place to set the chairs down. Ta! Now, you and Margaret better not go smashing these before I get a chance to put them back in the cloister. Oh, we won't. I'm only teasing. Goodness, what's wrong? You look lost. I've had a very long day. I'm worried about how the others see me. Charity blinked. She looked as if she hadn't been expecting such a straightforward answer out of me. Has anything Hedwig has done convinced you that she is good at subterfuge? I guess Charity maybe just has not been paying attention because why? Everyone else seems to have got a handle on her, right? Of course, it wasn't really so straightforward, but I'm sure it must have seemed like a radical departure from my previous meekness. My real feelings, of course, were always one shelf higher than the ones I was happily displaying. Everyone thinks you're lovely, Hedwig. What on earth are you talking about? Just odd feelings, I suppose. Oh, I see. Are you worried the new sisters will sap some of your attention? That's just how it goes, my dear. Oh, well, no, not exactly. No use hiding it. The new ones always get a little extra. Everyone likes things new and shiny now, don't they? I don't think that's true. Of course it is. You don't waste time with me and Marta now, do you? I don't know how to respond to that. I'm not offended. We're old and boring. Old curmudgeons. Well, that's fine. Marta and I have each other. Anyway, the new ones are a bit young, aren't they? Things might not change for you at all. Oh, okay, good. We wandered back down to the cloister where the superior was still standing and shouting. You know what? I should spend more time with you and Marta. Only if you want to. We wouldn't want you to miss out on having proper fun. Well, Marta might, but she could be a bit of a curmudgeon. Oh, well, whoops, now I feel bad for slipping that one in on my own. But she gets her fill of young folk from Flora, and that drives her mad, so... Oh, speak of the devil. Catherine with the K had wheeled Flora in front of the superior, and the two were arguing heatedly.
All I asked is that you tried. That's a stupid, bloody thing to try, so I won't.
Catherine with the case slipped away from the wheelbarrow to speak with me and Charity. What are they bickering about?
Soup asked her to try standing up.
Oh, come on, Soup. She did not.
I'm afraid so. Flora's holding her own, though, as you can see. I've heard nothing but complaints from you about the wheelbarrow. I thought you'd relish the opportunity. To what? Fall over in front of everyone? Fine, stay in the bloody wheelbarrow. As if it's my choice. I just want things to look perfect when they get here. Well, I apologize for breaking my fucking leg. I should have thought about that before. Enough!
The superior caught my eye suddenly and shifted her attention immediately.
Hedwig, go tidy your desk in the library.
Ah! I wasn't about to argue with her. Yes, your reverence.
See? That is the manner of respect I want to hear from you all. No argument, no questions, just doing as I ask.
I scurried away to the stairs. Entered the library and hurried to my desk, unsure of how exactly to make it any tidier, but willing to waste some time figuring it out to avoid embarrassment downstairs. I straightened the ink pots and quills and attempted to make some of the book piles more stable, but earnestly, there was not much that could be done to improve the space. I fussed with it as much as I could until the door burst open. Ah! Eustace entered, looking harried. Hedwig, what are you doing here? I realized that I had never been left to my own devices in the library before. The door had been unlocked on my way in. She must have already been attending to something. Superior told me to tidy my desk. Why? Oh, God. Hope the new oblates aren't going to be working in here. I don't know. She just demanded I go, and I didn't want to argue. She's a bit, high-strung? I hadn't noticed. She sighed deeply. She wanted me to check on the sword. Still there, just like I told her. I suppose that is an important thing to keep track of. It seems like the superior is someone who is just doing a cold read on her right now. She said she wants things to be perfect, right? She is so worried about this going well, but probably can't for the life of her think about what needs to happen. And just telling everyone to go do things and exercising power kind of at random is the only way she's going to keep feeling in control of the situation until inevitably the new oblates get here and it is fine.
We've all had that manager.
Yes.
District manager is coming for a visit. Store manager just makes you go do random tasks regardless of whether they matter because it helps them manage their own anxiety about this thing that is in fact likely going to be irrelevant, and even if it is relevant, they have zero control over how it goes.
I love how you can always tell when a DM is visiting in retail stores. As someone who spent a portion of my life working in retail, can always tell, especially in like grocery store. If you ever seen a grocery store really nice and faced, like with all, meaning like all the product is brought forward, and so it looks like the aisle is completely full, even though it's just a facade. You could tell they're having a visit from someone important pretty soon. In reality, no one has time for that shit. I suppose that's an important thing to keep track of. Yeah, it's part of my job as a sacrist. Not that that matters to her. I had fun at the stream. That's grand. I couldn't help but be annoyed by her demeanor. For someone who had threatened me with grave retribution not long ago, Eustace didn't seem to particularly care that I was, as far as she knew, doing exactly what she had demanded of me. You done with your desk? I think so. Good. Go see if the superior needs anything else. I need to run a quick shelf inventory. You don't want any help? No. I swallowed what I wanted to say to her and left. She could fuck herself on her bloody shelves for all I cared. Man, Hedwig's inner monologue is so much more willing to... normally, if you hear me cussing in Hedwig's monologue, it's because I'm adding some flavor in. This one's right out... No, that's... Yeah, that's just there. I jogged back down the stairs. Look at me now, Catherine! And raced into the cloister, but nobody was there. I could hear voices echoing from the direction of the workshop and gate, where the cart to the village had been prepared many days ago. So the new oblates were here. I ran to catch up with everyone. I could see them crowded around a horse-drawn carriage, but I saw no new faces yet. I could hear the bishop's voice, although he was too far away to understand. One of the black shapes turned around. The superior heard my footsteps echoing through the archway. She walked over to me briskly and whispered hoarsely,
Where were you?
"Cleaning my desk, as you asked."
I didn't think you'd need that long. Never mind that. Where's Eustace?
She was in the library as well, and she mentioned something about inventory.
Go back and get her. My God, this is a disaster.
It really isn't. I glanced behind her. Everything seemed quite calm.
She can organize her books later. We have new sisters to welcome. Go.
I bolted away and dashed back up the stairs to the library door. I prayed that Eustace hadn't locked it behind her. Mercifully, the door swung open when I pushed the handle. I entered the room hastily. Eustace? Eustace? No answer. I peered into the rows of shelves. There was no obvious sign of her. I crept forward. I knew that she was very precious about her books and wanted me nowhere near the back of the library. Eustace! The superior is looking for you. The new oblates are here and she wants all of us there to greet them. Eustace? I was beginning to get irritated. Are you just ignoring me? I know we've been arguing lately, but I'm trying to do exactly what you asked. Oblates are here, a time to redouble our efforts as an abbey. Just like the superior said, yes? I am willing if you are. Still nothing. How rude I thought she was being. Where are you, Eustace? I had wandered further into the shelves than I had intended to. It was very dark back here. So dark I could barely see the spines of the books surrounding me. As I pressed forward, I stumbled. I looked down and saw that there were many books scattered across the floor. The shelves surrounding me were a mess too, just as if she had torn through them looking for something. I was tempted to pluck something from the shelf and flip through it just to spite Eustace, but I thought better of it. I suppose that whatever she was doing was part of her system, and that inventory was messy work.
She's looking for Hedwig's book that she took. But unfortunately, since the superior sent Hedwig to the library, Hedwig no longer has plausible deniability, because she was here before Eustace.
Yeah, that's true. I peered into the dark. What? But that means Hedwig would have gotten back, immediately ran up there and stolen it?
Yeah?
Yeah, okay. I peered into the dark one last time, then turned around to head back. Leaving felt much faster than entering. I must have been quite hot-headed. I left the library and let the door slam. Superior looked livid when I returned without her. Luckily, the bishop was still talking, so my return did not cause any incident. I made as apologetic a face as I could and whispered to the superior, I have no idea where she is. I looked all through the library and couldn't find her.
Really? That little gutter snipe. You're sure you checked everywhere? She can get lost in her own head sometimes.
I looked all over and I shouted her name. Nothing. Perhaps she went to the latrine?
Perhaps so.
The superior took a deep breath and appeared to calm down. If only Eustace could see me here defending her from the superior's wrath. My work was so unappreciated. What's this track? Yee. The bishop finally finished talking. I realized the carriage doors hadn't even opened yet. The cart's driver looked bored to tears. How rude, I thought. This was to be a very important moment in two young women's lives. Then again, I suppose the bishop had been speaking for a while. I could see the other sisters all shifting on their feet uncomfortably.
It is my honor to welcome two new sheep to Linbarrow Abbey's flock. I present to you Bridget and Violet.
You ready? Well,
Yeah.
no, because now we know who they are. We can't do it.
What?
We can't do it in all fairness if we know exactly who they are before we see them.
Wait, what do you mean?
I wanted to do a nice old who the fuck are you, but
Okay.
if we know exactly who they are, so it kind of ruins the mood, doesn't it? He opened the carriage door somewhat awkwardly. There's a smattering of light applause as two young women practically tumbled out onto the road.
Who the fuck are you?
Who the fuck are y'all? I love them. They're like... Oh, I love them. One of them was tall and reedy, and the other was stout and round. Oh my goodness. I love the fucking frog spectacles on this one over here. They steadied themselves and stood up, looking flustered.
All right, which one? Who's who? Who's who?
I dibs the smaller one.
Okay. I need to think of a new voice for Bridget real quick, and I'm coming up blank. So she's.
Do you want me to voice both of them? I haven't voiced a ton of characters this game. I'd be happy to take it off your hands. I just need to.
I mean, I can certainly be one of them. It's just I'm coming up blank on new voices, so she's going to be from Alabama.
That's fine. That's fine.
It wasn't half stuffy in there.
Perfect.
Hey, why'd you wait till you were done going Hey, why'd you wait till you were done going on and on to let us out? Yep.
What? What's wrong?
Absolutely nothing.
We don't like Kermit voice? Maybe she'll... Aye, why'd you wait till you were done going on and on to let us on out of there? They're both from Alabama now. One's actually from Alabama and one's from what I imagine Alabama to sound like. We've been in there for weeks, feels like. The bishop chuckled.
I suppose I got away from myself.
Too right.
Oh, be nice to him. We're root now. What's...
Oh, no, she's Canadian.
She says she's Canadian. I can't do Canadian.
The pair of them had very strong accents. The superior stepped forward, her arms outstretched. She was beaming. We don't have a superior beam. You wouldn't have thought she had been irrationally furious just moments ago. We'll leave the superior beamed up to y'all.
Welcome to Linbarrow Abbey, my children.
She kept walking forward, and the young oblate seemed to intuit that superior meant to embrace them. They allowed her to, although neither of them looked particularly thrilled. Right, well, that's enough of that, I should think. She pulled away from the superior, who looked somewhat taken aback. Margaret leaned over to me.
Looks like we might have 3 Floras now, eh? These two seem like total terrors.
But perhaps they're just tired from the journey. The whole congregation moved together through the archway and back into the abbey. The bishop waved the carriage driver off. When the reins cracked, the shorter oblate twisted around. Wait, hold up, me things are still in there.
Your things? You weren't meant to bring anything. You will have everything you need here.
Aye, but I wanted to bring some keepsakes and the like. Go on, stopping me. Hey, Mr. Carriageman.
No.
Well, what happens to all my things then?
We can write a letter to the diocese. Make sure it gets returned to wherever it needs to.
Well, that'd be here with me now, wouldn't it? The bishop placed his hand on the young woman's back and steered her into the cloister. The taller girl had fallen silent, stepping out of the carriage, but grabbed her friend's hand and squeezed it.
Now, Linbarrow Abbey was built many years ago, funded by an anonymous benefactor who wished to bring the work of God to the hills of England.
Anonymous benefactor? Did we know they were anonymous before?
I don't recall. I know that we didn't know who it was, but I didn't know that they didn't know.
Okay, or that's the story that it's anonymous.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
The village of Linbarrow, known for its vineyards and livestock, made for a perfect setting to...
Why is it so far up the hill then?
Please raise your hand to indicate you have a question.
Sorry, but why is it so far up the hill then?
Because it gives our cellars the most consistent temperature for winemaking, or so I am told. It has stood for almost 100 years and has served its community through stewardship, prayer, and of course, the aforementioned winemaking. Linbarrow's wines are some of the finest in the country. If you're... Yes?
Violet had raised her hand. Is the wine expensive, eh?
I do not have exact figures on hand, but I would safely assume that it fetches a fair price for its quality. In fact, famous dignitaries and royal emissaries have, in the past, sought out Linbarrow's wine for their stocks.
Why is this place in such a state, then? Half the walls look like they're falling to pieces.
Yes, well, 100 years is a long time, and the weather has indeed taken a toll. But not to worry. In fact, there are builders on the way who will arrive quite soon who have been charged with the upkeep of the abbey.
Upkeep of the abbey. Uh-huh. The casual little lies here. Oh, well, that's good then.
Yep, we could have had Kermit voice, but you
We
said
still
no.
can.
Just remember what they took from you.
I didn't say anything.
The Superior continued giving her tour, gesturing from her position in the middle of the cloister to the library, the dorms, her office, and so on. No, I don't think I could genuinely do that for a full game without it being super. Like, I sometimes in my desire to make voices as distinct as possible for people listening, I can overcompensate and get to ones that are obnoxious.
Yep.
And I don't think there's a way for me to do a voice like that without it sounding obnoxious. She had clearly put a lot of thought into this. I wondered if I would have received the same treatment had I been any other oblate, or if this was a new idea she was giving a chance. It was hard to focus on her words. Where had Eustace gone? I glanced around at the others. Angela was present. Hope to God that Eustace hadn't already discovered the workbook had gone missing. Oh, either that or she was moving one of the shelves to get out a passageway. And that knocked the books off. Because we do know at least one of the shelves does that. So it explained maybe why she's not in there anymore. What would happen when she inevitably did find out that someone had pilfered it? It would be the first person she would think of naturally. Angela caught my eye and gave me a little nod. Curses! Why, oh why had I agreed to this plan? Eustace was likely tearing my door into pieces right at this moment, pawing through all my useless evidence. Then she would tear through every other room until she did find it, and she would find it in Angela's room, and then...
Sister Hedwig.
Yes.
I inquired as to whether or not you would be available in the coming days to show our new charges your work.
Oh,
Bridget has expressed keen interest.
of course. Oh, yes. Yes, Superior, of course, I would be delighted.
Very good. Now, if you would all follow me into the chapel for the ceremony.
We passed through the cloister and into the chapel. The Superior took the pulpit and gestured for all of us to line up in front of her. The bishop stayed standing with the two new oblates, the new sisters facing the old. Catherine with the K was pushing Flora, and it took a moment for her to get into position.
Welcome to Linbarrow Abbey, daughters of God. Now that you have been given a preliminary overview of the Abbey and its history, I would like to introduce you to your new sisters. Sister Angela, your prioress. Sister Hedwig, our chronicler.
Every time. She went down the line introducing all of us simply and as efficiently as she could. This was far more regimented than the experience I remembered in the rectory.
And finally, Sister Flora, who I believe is nearest in age to you two.
How are you, Hen?
What? She's asking how you're doing. No, I understood that part. I just think it's a bit obvious how I'm doing, innit?
We're just trying to be nice, cunt.
Oh yeah? Try this.
She held out her middle finger. Violet followed suit. Oh, these two are going to be great friends. No. See, you don't... This fire-forged friendship right here. These two are going to have each other's backs, let me tell you.
Sisters, please. You've had a long journey and likely in need of rest.
Of course. Once these two have been shorn, they can be left with the sisters to be shown around the abbey at their leisure.
Sean? Moira held up the scissors she had been carrying.
You know, your hair.
Moira looked a little sheepish, clearly recognizing Violet's reticence. Bridget, who had still been silent, placed a hand on her friend's shoulder.
I did tell you, didn't I?
Aye, but you said you heard this place was a mite less dogmatic.
We still hold to the important traditions.
Moira had moved behind Violet. Scissors!
Could you take your hood and cap off, please?
So Moira's the one that does the shearing around here.
I'll be quick. You wanted to follow me, right?
Aye, of course I did. Bridget tugged her own hood aside, revealing short hair.
You already had yours done, then? I took my vows not 2 months ago. Then I don't need to do yours. Well, if it'd help her.
Violet was sniffling. Yeah, it ain't. Bridget began to weep as well. I looked down the line of sisters. Everyone looked rather tense. I stared ahead as Violet finally relented. She slowly removed her hood and cap, exposing her voluminous hair. I thought I wouldn't need to. I just thought having the robe would be enough.
If it's any comfort, you don't have to keep shearing it. Not here.
Really?
Really?
Very well, then. Moira began to cut the young woman's hair. Both Violet and Bridget began to weep as the bishop began reciting the ceremonial vows. I tried my best to stay present, but I could not.
Reciting the ceremonial vowels. A, B, I. Oh.
Oh, we haven't gotten to O yet. Ooh. What vowel is that? That's one of them. The words were piercing my mind like hooks. I felt as if I were being dragged into the past by insistent memories. These two novices were taking but simple vows, but it was all so close to what I had remembered. I began to feel ill at ease. I closed my eyes, attempting to fight the feeling, but the room began to feel as if it was spinning. I opened my eyes again, desperate to right myself, but the sudden stop made me feel as if I lurched to a halt, and the next thing I remember is the stone floor rising up to meet my face. And that's Hetty's introduction. Ow. Why? I woke up to a familiar scene. The chapel ceiling above me and Moira's worried face hovering a few inches from mine.
Hello? Sister Hedwig.
I could hear raucous laughter coming from somewhere. What is that?
Ignore them. Focus on me. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Good. Do you remember my name?
Sister Moira?
Just checking.
She dragged me to my feet and patted me on the back. I felt deeply embarrassed to have fallen faint in service once again, but it looked as if nobody else seemed to mind. Dang, those locks. The laughter was coming from Bridget and Flora, who were pointing not at me but at Violet, who looked patently ridiculous with a half-shaven head. Violet was laughing too, albeit more nervously than the other two. Oh, you stop now. It doesn't look that silly.
It does. You should let her keep it like that. Settle down, everyone.
She had retrieved her scissors.
I'm going to make sure Hedwig is well. Could somebody else finish shearing this one?
The superior stepped forward and accepted the scissors somewhat eagerly.
Of course. And Margaret, Catherine, would you be so kind as to clean up after Hedwig while Moira checks up on her?
She gestured to the pale pile of sick on the flagstone floor. Margaret shot me a withering smile.
Certainly, Soup.
Why is Margaret angry at us for this? Like, I get that, but like, we know this is a known thing about Hedwig. Moira jogged over to me, put her arm around my shoulder, and pulled me toward the door. I observed the newcomers as we passed. Violet seemed to be more at peace now. She offered the rest of her hair up to the superior, who smiled warmly and continued the work of cutting it all off. Both Bridget and Violet continued to weep, but as they brushed their faces of tears, I could see that they were smiling. I was full in fear and worry and shame. I was certainly frightened that Linbarrow might not be the right place for them. But watching them fade into the shadow beyond the chapel door as Moira escorted me away, I felt so happy for them. How come Moira gets to keep her stuff and Violet doesn't? Just wondering.
I mean, it sure seems like everybody has all kinds of stuff that they shouldn't properly have as of this time, and maybe the Superior has only just now started attempting to enforce this rule, and maybe it'll be different this time.
I see. I felt so happy for them. Naked as the day. And as we all know, the day is the time for naked.
Mm-hmm.
I do know what it's referencing. I'm just pretending I don't for the funny bit. Moira led me upstairs to the dormitory. I almost protested. After all, what if Eustace was there right now scrounging around for the missing book? But never found a chance. Moira ushered me into my room gently and closed the door behind us.
On the bed, if you please.
I sat down at her command.
How are you feeling?
Rather lightheaded, I must admit.
It's been a while since this last happened, has it not?
It has been a bit, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It has kind of, it definitely was more... I guess that means maybe she's acclimating some. I believe so.
Wait here a moment.
She disappeared from the room before I could protest. She reappeared almost instantly with a little pouch. I recognized the smell instantly. Mentha? Will that help?
It will certainly help your breath after all that.
Oh. I took some of the leaves and began to chew, feeling embarrassed once again.
Now, let me see. Any strenuous physical activity today?
Not that I can recall. Just walking to and from the stream with all of you.
What have you eaten today?
The same as you.
And to drink?
Wine with breakfast. Again, I believe same as you.
Breakfast of champions.
Hell yeah. Why don't we have wine for breakfast?
Because we don't want to develop alcoholism.
True.
That's right.
You're not going to squeeze me all over again, are you?
Would you like me to?
Moira, I need you to just... Can we not? I need you to be the one person with whom this just isn't a thing, please.
This is a typical humoral imbalance, I think. You're exploring more outside, and you were clearly very emotional at the ceremony. The Superior did prattle on a bit, didn't she? That'd flare anyone's temper up. I dare say you've been generating more yellow bile than your body is used to. And out it came.
What should I do?
Rest. Same as always.
I could try my best, I suppose. I feel awful. Those girls must think I'm a strange creature indeed.
Oh, don't worry so much. Anyway, try and join us for dinner, but don't push yourself, aye?
Yes. Also, were you sobbing in my pillow the other day? What was up with that? Are you going to explain why...
Don't worry about it.
What? Moira? No. She smiled warmly and turned to leave. Wait. I had a real opportunity here that I didn't want to miss.
Is she crying?
Yeah. I noticed that too. I was like, wait, hold on. Let me see if I can, Yeah, it looks like she's crying.
That's odd.
Holly, have you? I've been curious, I suppose. But what happened the morning that Catherine was found? I've actually been collecting everyone's stories, so I can fill in the gap. Thought it might be a nice way to honor her memory, to finish her work. Moira smiled, but she looked a little glassy-eyed. She wiped her eyes with her sleeve.
You're very thoughtful. There isn't much to tell. We had actually all been in the Misericorde the night before, and I was very tired afterward.
Ooh, who's all?
I nearly slept through Eustace banging on everyone's door.
Don't tell her I asked, by the way. I brought it up with her. She was a little touchy.
Oh, poor Eustace. Not to worry, I won't.
Thank you. The corners of her mouth flickered upward, and she placed a hand on my shoulder.
I'd love to keep you company, Hedwig, but I think the superior would have my head if I didn't go back to the ceremony.
We were all in the Misericorde. So there were some people in the Misericorde the night before. I wonder whomst.
We could talk about it in more detail another time,
I nodded.
Get some rest now.
Okay. She left my room, shutting the door quietly. I fell backward onto my pillow. I could feel the handle of the ruined knife inside. The knife was in the pillow.
The knife was in the pillow.
Moira, I hope you're all right. In truth, I felt normal. Not well, mind you. But my brief dizzy spell aside, I saw no reason to rest. My body agreed and refused to be still. I tossed and turned and eventually stood up, unable to coax myself into napping or even staring at the ceiling. There was something hooked inside me. Something that felt like a hook that had caught me between the legs and was tugging me somewhere. Forcing me to... Oh, I've had one of those before. They're a little bit uncomfortable at first, but you get used to it. Forcing me to walk, demanding I move. Where it was dragging me, I had no idea. All I knew was that I ought not to be still. Sorry, I just need a moment. Yeah. I left my room and wandered through the dormitory hall. There was nobody here, naturally. Look at me. I could have gone into my room, any room I wanted. I stood outside of Eustace's door. I hadn't even needed Angela to steal my notes back. Could have opened the door right now and taken whatever I wanted. I tittered to myself. Angela's room was open to me as well. I could just claim the book for myself before she had a chance to give it to me. I'd have no reason to, but the look on her face might be amusing. Compelled to move again, I bounded out of the dormitories and onto the landing. No doubt the bishop was reading those two girls their vow. What?
An eye, huh?
Interesting. Oh, we don't know where we're at.
Huh.
What's going on right now, Hetty?
Something.
I had run out of the Abbey and myself for some time, it seemed. Stopped in front of the library door, resisting the tug of the line for just a moment. Eustace was still missing. I held my head out to the door handle, then thought better of it. If Eustace was anywhere, it was the library. I hadn't been able to find her before, but where else would she be? Organizing her books or God knows what else. I had the whole Abbey to myself, minus the library and minus the chapel. I was by myself. I suppose I must believe what people say about Linbarrow's wine, mustn't I? I wouldn't be able to tell you any of this without it. Why? Why? I was yanked away from the library door and down to the second floor hallway. Where to go? What to do? I could do anything. I could go anywhere. I wanted to go outside. I wanted to touch a tree. I wandered to the spot where I'd seen the ghastly figure with the flaming sword. I'd take the stairs down to the outer courtyard from there, but there's a nasty smell coming from beyond the big door. Yuck. Foul. I didn't particularly fancy getting into a fight with the door the way Flora had. I retreated back toward the staircase nearer the dorms and practically flew down them. Eddie, what's going on, girl? I was being pulled by a thread, guided so firmly. I could do whatever I wanted, and I wanted to go outside. Nobody could see me, if only they could have. I suddenly felt quite warm despite the cool winter's air. It would snow soon. Everyone kept reminding me of that. This would be my last chance to enjoy the grass for a long time, to feel the ground. Even the stone floors and walls of the Abbey might be too cold to feel comfortably soon, I realized. And we all know how Hetty likes to feel floors. Oh, did you notice there's another eyeball over here too?
Oh, there totally is.
I wonder if they've been shown. We only saw the one that was really obvious in this. I wonder if they keep showing up though. As I jogged through the courtyard, I did something unthinkable. I have no excuse. I paused for a moment and removed all of my clothes save for my hood and cap. Hetty.
The wimple stays on during exhibitionist excursions, okay?
The wimple has to stay on while you're being an exhibitionist, otherwise it doesn't count. Otherwise, then you're just naked. You could just be coming back from a shower. That doesn't count. It's the part where it's intentionally revealing parts of it. That's what makes it exhibitionist. I hastily balled them into a pile. I did not care where. I just needed to be rid of them for a moment in the small window of freedom I had. For just a moment, the hook inside of me relaxed. The flagstone felt so welcoming on my feet, and then my hands, and then my knees as I fell to the floor. I guess that's why it's called Look at Me. My stomach and my back. The touch of stone felt so welcoming. I scarcely cared where I was. I was surrounded by stone enveloped in brick. Some of it smooth and some of it rough, and all of it inviting. I crawled and rolled and laughed and felt, well, blissful. Then my innards tightened again, and I felt the hook pull taut. I was off again through the nondescript halls, letting my hands linger on the walls as I walked. I was drawn outside. Do we see an eyeball in this one? I don't see an eyeball in this one.
Nor do
So maybe it's just some of them. Outside. I felt gravel under my feet. Oh, we're just... Huh. Alright, I admire the commitment to the bit. Then the gravel gave way to grass. The incessant pull continued. I broke into a sprint lest it rip my guts out. Why were there eyes during this scene? Is it because she feels like someone's watching her? Or is that she wants people to watch her? Or we're currently at Linbarrow Abbey. Currently at... I leapt into the tall greenery like water and laughed. Yeah, there's another eye. I rolled onto my back and gazed into the sky where the clouds were darkening. Stayed like that for a moment, giddy and dizzy and full of thrills. The yanking sensation had subsided, although I still could not see what had been dragging me out here. Here was where it wanted me to be, though, clearly. A single raindrop fell onto my forehead, and I began to laugh. This was perfect. This was total bliss. I brought myself to my feet, the tall grass brushing against my thighs. I held my hands aloft. Give me more, I begged the heavens. Give me more! It begun to rain. I could feel each drop as it pelted my skin. I could trace each one's path as it traveled down my body. The rain grew faster, and yet I could still account for each raindrop. I could follow each tiny ball of water as it ran from my face to my legs, from the tips of my fingers down my arms before it rolled off my breast until there wasn't a single dry patch left of skin. There was thunder in the distance.
Hedwig.
She got a dancing plague? Is that what's happening? I thought I heard my name underneath the rolling rumble.
Hedwig?
Finally turned my head downward from the sky to see.
What?
Who the fuck are you?
Doesn't that look like who Hedwig was depicted as in the character sheet?
Maybe? Hold on. Let's see where this goes.
Having fun, are we?
Oh, I shouldn't have taken that. Well, I'll put that back.
Well, fix that in post.
I'll have to remember to put the goats on this episode. The earth was ever so slightly damp. I could feel myself sinking into the dirt. A shadowy figure peered at me from above.
Look at the state of you.
Ooh, who are you? I can't see you.
It's me. Got me scared half to death. Come on, get up.
The hook was gone. So was the doppelganger who had been pulling on it.
Called it. So that
Okay, so
was
it is
who
her.
we have seen Hedwig portrayed as.
So it was Hedwig herself looking at her. Okay, understandable.
just having a little out-of-body experience, nude in the rain, as one does.
Yep.
It's a Tuesday.
I mean, I feel like Hedwig just skipped over missionary and went right over into Being alone in a room will get you into some strange stuff real fast. Anyway.
To be fair, her only previous option was floor sexual, so...
Floored sexual.
She's...
Hey, there was nothing sexual about the floor. It was just being nude rolling around on the flagstone. Doesn't have to be sexual. It could just be nude. Sorry, like, how else are you meant to react to a scene like this, right? The hook was gone. All right, yeah. I needed Eustace's help to rise to my feet. I felt very cold and very damp and utterly mortified.
Well then, I suppose I need to tell you just how much more leverage I have against you now, huh?
I burst into tears. You can't tell anyone about this.
Relax. I was only joking. Suppose our relationship isn't built for joking these days, is it? Sorry.
Eustace was walking me back toward the abbey slowly. Suddenly felt very aware of my nakedness. Not in the freeing way I had minutes before, but in a dreadful, vulnerable sense. Tried to make a break for it and sprint to the abbey to retrieve my pile of clothes, but Eustace kept a firm hold of my wrist.
Calmly. And try not to cry. The last thing we want is for everyone to come running, yeah?
Huh.
Or perhaps you wouldn't mind.
Huh. Uh-oh.
Oh, it's gonna be so
Oh, no.
good.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay, oh no. Or
Oh,
perhaps
no.
you wouldn't mind. How did you find me?
I'd finished what I was doing in the library and was on my way back to the chapel to get an earful from the superior.
She's lying.
I saw a bundle of clothes in the corner.
Was she? Or
She wasn't in the library, so...
She wasn't in the part of the library that Hedwig saw, but maybe she was in the library in the sense that in a room connected to the library via a secret passage.
So not in the library, in a secret
okay.
room.
Yeah.
And I saw a bundle of clothes in the corner and thought, well, nothing good, I'll say that much.
Saw a bundle of clothes in the corner and was like, yep, Hedwig's off on a tear.
Ugh, you smell that, by the way?
We were close to the wall beneath the great wooden doors. Yes, I can. Awful, isn't it?
Horrible. Never mind that, though. Get you dressed first.
What is that? I'm concerned.
What?
Everyone's commenting on the bad smell, but no
Is
one's...
this where the latrine is?
But that door doesn't normally smell bad.
Huh. Yeah, weird. I don't have an answer. There was a horse here recently. The horse took a fat shit in the road.
I mean, that doesn't smell bad enough to stank up through a distance, through a door.
Yeah. Huh. Well, I guess we'll have to see. I was doing my best to cover myself up with one free arm, but it wasn't working very well. Crossed over the grass back onto the gravel path. Hey, Hedwig. Wow, I'm going to have so much work for me. Wait, hold on. We also said we wanted to see what the censorship looked like.
Yeah, we did.
So
So we gotta turn that on real quick and see what the censorship looks like. Preferences?
Preferences. Here we go. Put the censorship on.
All right, what do we got?
Well, that's cute. That is pretty cute. Some little cherubs with the... Okay.
That's funny.
I like that. However, we're not cowards, so you're getting goats instead. I do appreciate the extra work of having the text box do some of the work for us, though.
Yeah.
And also, yeah, it's same. The it has to stay on. Do you enjoy how that feels beneath your feet? Leave me alone!
What is the matter with you? Quiet down.
I was distraught, but it was nothing compared to what I was about to feel. Turned the corner to the cloister where the gravel path met the flagstone flooring. My robes were still there in a heap, but there was somebody else there too. The very last person I would have wanted to see me in this state.
Oh.
Just gotta kick. Come on. We gotta barrel through. We gotta barrel through this. We can do it.
Just don't acknowledge it. Just don't acknowledge it.
Right. Oh, wait. Hot tips for when you're naked. I actually don't have hot tips for when you're naked.
Yeah, I don't.
You probably shouldn't be in most jurisdictions. Where we live, it is legal,
but maybe not for long.
Maybe not for long, but you have to. You can't. It's weird. You can't strip in public, but you can be naked in public. So you have to leave your house naked. So, just keep that in mind.
Hello, Sister Eustace. This is rather interesting.
I instinctively tried to flee, but Eustace wouldn't let go of my arm. This isn't the time, Angela. I think Hedwig might need to see Moira.
Moira returned from attending to her not long ago. Hedwig was perfectly fine, according to her. So I think you might be in quite a predicament.
Eustace finally let go of my hand. Perhaps she was aware of how it made things look. I saw Hedwig disclose his card on the floor and was worried for her safety. Luckily, I think she just might have been having a little bit of fun.
In the rain. Alone.
I know it sounds absurd.
It sounds deranged.
She shouted so loud that it scared me.
It sounds impossible. Forgive me, Sister Eustace, but it sounds like the hurried tale of a woman who knows she has been caught.
She said this last word with a disturbing sense of relish, as if she had rolled it around in her mouth to savor the taste before letting it go. Underneath my embarrassment, I could feel rage building. What had happened to Angela remaining beneath Eustace's notice?
It is the truth.
This reminds me of several other truths you have told me I simply have to believe. Truths so strange that they simply must be true.
Sorry, I have to keep looking at the music every couple minutes because the soundtrack fucks so hard.
You encounter things so bizarre that they must be true quite often, don't you, Sister Eustace? And so many of them seem to revolve around states of undress and the honor of the women around you.
Is Eustace secretly a lady killer?
One could say that it beggars belief.
Angela thinks we were doing what we meant to and somehow managed to get Eustace in a compromising position. Angela thinks we did this on purpose.
Oh no, the multi-gambit pileup.
There's no reason to bring anything like that into this.
Hedwig, is there anything I should tell the Superior?
I suddenly realized just how difficult it would be to communicate exactly what I needed from Angela. Whatever she had suggested to me about availability had been overrun by something else. Panic set in alongside embarrassment. How could I convince Angela this had all been a part of my investigation? It hadn't, of course, but that was the idea I needed to replace whatever anger or concern had taken over her senses. Sister Angela, Eustace is telling the truth. I could scarcely bring myself to hold up my head straight, much less look Angela in the eyes. But I did my utmost to maintain eye contact. Think of our pact, I attempted to say to her silently. She stared back at me, her eyes narrowed and piercing. Think of our pact! I knew what she might say in response.
Is this not evidence enough?
She opened her mouth, and I was terrified she was about to announce that she had won the argument I had been imagining in my head. I would plead you to not tell the Superior. What Eustace says is true. I experienced a spell of madness. You see, I had never felt the rain before. Not anywhere but on my hands and face, I suppose. I was overcome with a childish desire to play. The snow was coming soon. It's silly, but I wonder how much longer the chance to do something like this would be available.
I had just finished up working in the library, came downstairs, saw a pile of clothes, and ran outside to find Hedwig in a state of delirium. That is all. That is the truth.
What a funny story.
Hilarious. But one of those kinds of stories that's only funny to the people who were there.
I imagine it could be amusing to the others, but I trust your judgment, for now at least.
She eyed me up and down, and I was too exhausted to cover my shame.
Get dressed then, Hedwig. I hope this is your one and only bout with this delirium. It would be a shame if you froze to death when it snows.
I nodded and she had turned to leave. Eustace stood and watched me get dressed. She stood blocking the view to and from the chapel across the cloister, which I somewhat appreciated. She muttered quietly as I fixed my robe.
Wouldn't want anyone else seeing.
It's like she's used to standing in very convenient places for people around her. Or perhaps you would. Could be a thrill, I suppose.
Thoroughly humiliated, I indicated to Eustace that I was ready to move.
Poor Hedwig developing such an amount of pent-up horny that she straight up has a psychotic break.
I'm learning so many interesting things about you today.
There's nothing to have learned from this. I was ill and just ill. That's all.
I find it hard to believe this is a completely random whim of yours.
What did Angela mean, by the way, about you and honor and so on? I think perhaps we have been given an opportunity to not learn anything about each other. I think that is fair, don't you?
Huh. Very well, Hedwig.
She was smiling, but I could sense the tension between her eyes. We began to walk back toward the staircase to the upper hall.
You know, Hedwig, I find this side of you far more interesting than your busybody tendency. If this is all some bizarre way of filling that hole, you have my full support. Slap on the back.
And what does support for momentary bouts of madness look like?
I'm good at keeping secrets. Keeping more than one of yours right now.
We stopped at the top of the stairs. I turned to face her, feeling weary. Could not believe that she was still attempting to threaten me in this manner. Months ago, I thought we had reached some kind of stalemate. Wish you wouldn't be so cruel, Eustace.
Cruel? I disagree. Firm. I do what I must.
You have made your point several times over. You won. You have not continued what you asked me to cease.
That's excellent. I'll take every opportunity to keep it that way until I am satisfied. We can be friends in the meantime. After all, if you're not doing what I asked you not to do, what do you have to fear? Smile and allow me my paranoid indulgences. We'll laugh about all this years down the road.
I hope so.
Years down the road, we'll laugh about that time we condemned an innocent man to death for convenience sake.
Who among us, right?
Eustace bade me farewell with a curt nod and empty smile, and turned to head back down the staircase. I glanced at the library door. I'd have half a mind to dash inside and see whatever it was she had been so busy with before coming to find me in the field, but I thought better of it. I staggered back to my room. I felt as if I had just run in circles for hours. My breath was shallow and ragged, and I was dripping with sweat. I entered my room and made for my bed. I did need that rest Moira had recommended after all. With trepidation, I removed my clothing once more. I was alone again, but I was filled with an overwhelming sense of shame and dread as my skin was exposed to the air. That strange driving sensation, the hook, was back. My doppelganger's pull was weak as she attempted to drag me to the open window or back into the hall through the door. I could resist it, but it was there. No matter how little effort it took to suppress, I could feel that it was there. I can still feel it, in truth. Another reason that I belong in here. As I climbed into bed, I began to weep. Some threshold had been crossed. It was as if I had discovered I was afflicted with some permanent disease. I begged God to free me from the line I was stuck on, but the feeling would not leave. I knew that no matter which direction my speared loins would be pulled, the final destination would be hell. My head hit the pillow, and I jerked upright. I had avoided colliding with the dull knife inside, but the whole thing was still damp. I let out a wail and flipped it over angrily. As I buried my face in the dry side and set about wetting it in kind with my tears. When sleep came, I wished it would take me permanently.
Is there something on Hedwig's bed, on like the frame of it, that is causing her pillow to get wet when she? No, because then the side she just flipped to wouldn't be dry. Okay, no, that's not it. Is there like just a leak in her ceiling?
I feel like there are much simpler explanations for why her pillow might be wet.
Yeah.
It wasn't wet this time, right? It's been wet exactly once when Moira was in there.
It just was wet. It just the whole thing was still
damp.
I told you.
Wait, why was the whole pillow damp?
I don't
Why
know.
still damp? Still damp is weird because it implies she knew it was damp already.
Yeah.
What's wrong?
That puzzles me.
Do you find these details hard to believe? Well, I stand by it all. That is what happened. I was being cajoled, perhaps even haunted by a lascivious doppelganger. Listen, this is how I must tell the story. This isn't an embellishment or a fantasy. It is simply how I see it. Anyway, sleep was not so merciful.
And we'll have to have whatever next time.
Next time.
Gotta be one of my worst outros ever. Holy shit, I just gave up.
Smash that like, comment and subscribe.